Alright, so let's go back into our shell here. Let me exit out of here. Remember, we should be in our root directory with manage.py. I'm going to say python manage.py shell. And it's python 3 manage.py shell for me. I'm going to do Control L to clear the screen. Remember. So let's import the card model. So remember, that was in the flashcards module, the flashcards app, in the models file, I want to import card. And remember, so let's query our card. See how many cards are in the deck right now, and we can do that just by running this card.objects.all. So a couple things here. We can also do, we should be able to do a .count on top of that. There's 2 cards in the deck. That's pretty cool. Alright, so another thing you can do is card.objects.first. And that returns the first card, this one right here. And you could also do card.objects, just a second. Sorry about that. Could have sworn I had that phone on vibrate. Alright, so card.objects.last. And there you go. Alright, so now we have that, I'm gonna, let's see, Control D to exit out of my shell. And python 3 manage.py. I'm gonna run the server again for the first time. So in another window here, I'm opening up localhost :8000. And let's do localhost :8000/ustudy. ustudy. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create another link. And we want to create a new page that's going to list out all the flashcards so that a user can come and see all the flashcards. Alright, so let's get rid of this guy for now. I'm going to open up my text editor, Atom. And the first thing we're going to do is, let's create the URL first. So I normally do a URL, then a view, and then a template in that order. Alright, so if you're new to Django URLs, I'm not going to get too far in depth of how the URL router works right now. We're just going to create it and we'll do a little baptism by fire and learn as we go. Alright, so what we're going to do is in this URL patterns list here, we're going to create a new URL, and the R stands for raw text, so I'm going to say R. This little caret here means go to the front of the URL string. You'll see that in a second. And we're going to say flashcards with a $sign at the end, which means end of the string. And I'm going to say, let's see, include, we're going to include, should just be flashcards.urls. And we're going to give it a namespace equal to flashcards. Alright, so we also don't have this include imported anywhere, right? So we need to go up here from django.conf.urls, import URL. I'm also going to import the include function so I can use this. I'm going to run my server again. I should get an error. There, it's already running. So no module named flashcards.urls. Alright, so it's looking for the flashcards.urls file. It's not finding it. So, right up here in flashcards, we're going to create a new file. And this is going to be called urls.py. Alright, see if that changed anything. Run the server again. Alright, cool. So we got a new error. So now it's finding the, hopefully it's finding the flashcards model. Well, let's go ahead and try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this whole urls.py file from the actual ustudy directory. I'm going to go into the one we just made in the flashcards directory. And actually, I should probably make this text a little bit bigger for you guys. Alright. So, let's see, we don't need all this. We need a, man, all sorts of stuff messed up there. There we go. We don't need this include anymore. We don't need this admin anymore. And we're going to say from ustudy import views. We'll do something with that here in a second, but for right now, I'm going to comment that out. The only URL we need is, let's change this so it says list, and let's say views dot, let's go list all, and then I'm going to give it a name, which is going to be list all. Alright, perfect. So we're getting a new error here, and that's exactly what error we expect. Views is not defined. So we're saying, hey, go into views. Anytime you see this string, go into views, give me list all. Well, it doesn't know what views is. So the views file is going to be right here, the flashcard views. So what we're going to do, we're going to uncomment this, and we're going to say from, we should be able to do dot models, which means from in this current directory, that's not the right one. From dot, there we go. From here, import views. Run this again. So there we go. The module object has no attribute list all. So basically, at this point, it went into views and found the module, and it's saying it's got no object list all, or no function list all. So I'm going to create that. So in the views file, in the flashcards app, I'm going to create a new function. It's going to say def for define, and we're going to call it list all. The exact same thing from right there. Actually, I'll copy that and paste it just to make sure I didn't make any spelling errors. It's going to take a request as an argument, and now I'm just going to return render, which we already have imported right there. We're going to pass in the request. We're going to pass in a templates, which will just say list all.html, and we'll call it a empty dictionary. I'm going to call it context. Context is equal to an empty dictionary. And if you look back here at our ustudy views, you'll see it's something very similar. We have an empty dictionary called context. That's variables we can pass on to the template file, and we're not going to pass anything right now. And then we return render, looks familiar, a request looks familiar, a template, and then that empty dictionary. So you're going to see this pattern a lot. Back in views.py flashcards, you're going to see this pattern a lot. Return render, a request, template, dictionary. Alright, so now what's going to happen? Run the server again. And we get this little error right here. It's really not a big deal. We'll deal with this later. This warning, I should call it. But this is running. So what's going to happen, though, is if we try to go to this, we haven't made this list all.html template yet. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. List templates. So in the templates directory, I'm going to put a new file called listall.html. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, at the top, we're going to make a set of curly brackets with a % sign on each side of them. This is Django templates syntax, if you will. It's a way that we can kind of write blocks of Django code inside of our templates and have them, rendered dynamically. So I'm going to say this extends base.html. And if we look in base.html, we have this block content. So basically, when I extend it, this new page is going to include everything right there and everything down here, and I can replace anything that's in a block. So if I want, I can replace this footer, or I can put some stuff in this content block, and that's what I want to do. So I want to say, I need to define that, so block content and end block. And in here, I'll just create an h1 tag that says, what is this going to say? This is going to say list all flashcards. List of all flashcards. Save that. And now we should be able to actually go to this in a browser. So let's go ahead and Let's open up a browser here. And I'm going to put this on one side of the screen, because I want to show you, if we go into our urls.py, not for flashcards, but for ustudy, I'm going to put this in the browser up here. So localhost :8000 / flashcards, boom. And this thing's thinking. And it eventually gave us a page not found. And that's because we go to, where was it? It was right here. So we put this in, and that's saying, hey, include the flashcard.url. So it sees this flashcards, and it tries to go in and includes the flashcards.urls, and then it's expecting lists. So let's go ahead and put that in there. And it's still not working. That's because of this guy right there. Let's get rid of that $sign after the flashcards. Refresh this, and there we go. Notice we still have our nav bar up at the top that then links back to this ustudy, but now we have our template that we just made. Alright, I know that's a long video, but that's probably one of the core things to wrap your mind around, is the URL view template process, and this whole thing of, don't wrap your head too much around this right here. Let's make this bigger. Don't wrap your head around too much around this right here, the including. You really won't have to do it too often, but you are definitely going to have to do this a lot. Creating a URL pattern, this being your string. Look up here. Mapping it to a view, so views.listAll, giving it a name, and then writing the view for that and defining everything you want to do. So actually, let's give this a little doc string. So this view, let's just do this. What does it do? It renders a list of all flashcards to the listall.html template. Obviously, it doesn't do that yet, but we're going to get around to this in the next video.